am Cecelia Sterling, and I'm here to share my story. Well, today I'm actually sharing several stories, and some of them are my girlfriends. Thank you, LNH. I appreciate the content. I appreciate your participation in my real life bingo. So, Wednesday morning, I receive a text message early in the morning. What if we met for tea and had a little conversation this morning? Not my norm. My schedule had shifted around in such a way that that was a possibility for me. And I was like, yes, how fast can I say yes? So my girlfriend and I, we just have a phone call. We both make tea at our homes and we have a phone call, which ends up lasting a really long time. But within this conversation, several stories come out. One of which is about a cameo. So she has seen this cameo. She loves it. She is interested in purchasing it for herself. And she hasn't yet. And it's not an exorbitant amount of money. It's not like she never buys herself gifts or goes after what she wants, but she's stuck here. And I'm like, So I pause and I say, so let's just reframe the question. First of all, what is your resistance to buying this gift for yourself? And she goes into a whole story about belief systems. And when she tells me the story, it's so rich with ancestral beliefs. Because she is someone who has enough money, buys things for herself when she wants them, enjoys beautiful things, doesn't necessarily beat herself up. But what was it about this cameo? And in my opinion, this is where we dance with the universe. Like if we're open to these types of conversations, to get to know ourselves better, to see into our operating systems. To me, there's this visualization of like those amazing salsa dancers where the man is the universe and the woman is twirling and twirling, and he twirls her and then he drops her. Like, I don't know how she drops, and he catches her head like on the tip of his finger, 1 inch above the ground. And regardless of gender roles, that type of dancing could be really terrifying, but it's also really thrilling if you have complete confidence that you will be caught, and to have like, yes, I just did that. Like, oh, it's so exciting, right? So I'm in the midst of a real life bingo, which you're going to hear because I have 3 stories that all tie together and land here today between me and you. But this is the first. So let me get back to her story. So she's telling me the story. It's rich with all of these somewhat limiting beliefs. And and I say to her, this reminds me of, and she's in sales. And I say, this reminds me for me, like sometimes I would have a hiccup around selling clothing at my boutique. And there was a sort of a limiting belief around like, I'm selling someone on this. They're getting sold. They don't necessarily need another shirt. So who am I to take their money and give them this thing? And I had to do some healing around that and have. I think it's wonderful that we have clothes that help us articulate ourselves, that we feel good in. And sometimes they need to be new. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But as far as this one goes, she's like, yes, like trickster. What's the value in this? I'm being sold on something. And while we explored that, we started talking about the cameo and how beautiful she thought it was and how she really wanted it. And I said, once you look at this whole storyline and sort of notice where some of this is coming from, it had a lot to do with her parents, and then always their parents before them, and so on and so forth. But I asked her to redefine what that cameo was going to mean to her now. And then I realized I just asked someone else to do that same redefining. Another girlfriend of mine previously in the week had told me that her son had just received a car, and it was one of those like too good to be true scenarios. Belief system, limiting belief system. And so if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? And so she's trying to figure out what's wrong, which actually gets her to learn about a connection piece with another family. And so I'm glad she had the limiting belief to explore. I'm glad she became aware of the limiting belief. And then I said to her, once you receive this car for this really great price, redefine what it means. Don't let it be too good to be true. Let it be the grace of God moving things around in such a way that it would be best if it wasn't over here and it was over here. So how can we just be open to receive and allow for that give and take? Interestingly, these are stories about gifts as we approach a gifting season. And I would love to hear your stories of gifts. Best gift you ever received, a gift you never gave. Why is that? Do you give yourself gifts? Why is that? How does it feel? Love for you to explore like whatever comes up as you're listening to this and share your story with me. I'd love to witness it. That's a really important aspect of this show in the sense that I'm exploring the power of personal narratives. So I asked her to redefine the story. And meanwhile, during the week, how this all applies to me, is I have asked the universe, I'm having some financial fear. It's triggered. I'm concerned about next year. I'm concerned about the ways in which I've manifested money in the past and how that could be applied to my sort of new space that I'm in, specifically sitting here on the sofa with you. And so I asked, like, if all the money could just arrive today for the next 10, 20 years, that would be great. If it can't, can you show me how possible it is? Talk to me here. Help me see the possibility and the way things move around. So interestingly, these girlfriends' stories are part of that too. One person is buying a gift for themselves. One person is receiving a gift that while it's for his son, it's going to serve the whole family, right? A car is a major tool. So I have some other car stories, and we're definitely going to do an episode about car stories too. Send me those as well. Don't let me lose my train of thought. This particular story is a little tricky for me to hold space for all at the same time. And this is where you see me doing my absolute best to stay present, keep talking to you, and follow my train of thought. Okay, so meanwhile in my life, I've asked the universe to show me how possible my financial goals are in my near future. And I get a few interesting stories about money showing up in people's lives or tools. I get another car story from a woman who received a car that was like the exact thing she was thinking would be best. And she was helping someone out by taking it, no cost to her, needed it for her son. Like, again, there's movement, right? So I received an order that I ordered from Target last week, and there are 3 pieces. Now I ordered 3 pieces and I received 2 of them. I'm over the moon about them. They're like better than I thought that they were going to be, which is always a great gift when you're shopping online. But the third is not what I ordered. It's not the basket that I ordered. It's a giant TV. And I'm like, oh, maybe my husband ordered a TV? Like, what's going on with this TV? So I ask him. No, he didn't. And I look at it. And it's addressed to me, my current address. And the only thing missing, there's a little tear on the label, and it's the only thing that's missing is a little bit of order information. So I've just received this giant TV. And it's kind of a pricey one. And look at my smile. I'm beaming with delight. And as my husband gets home, I tell him, and in his very like nuts and bolts ways, like, so we got to call Target, tell me to receive this, and da 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 da. And I'm like, this is me in conversation with the divine. Like, I'm just being shown how money and things move around. I don't know that anybody's hurt by missing this particular TV today. I don't know. Maybe hopefully it's serving everyone's highest good that this has shown up on my front stoop. But I'm just beaming with delight because I asked for some proof about manifestation and I received it. And so I have these, and then I noticed that I'm defining what this gift means to me. And in that, which I've asked my girlfriends to do as well, I remember a part of Lacey's story about the cameo, which was that she had a cameo in the past that needed some repair. And she sent it to the same woman, Belinda, who's helping her get her new cameo. But when she sent it to the woman, it had these little, I don't know if they were pearls or diamonds around the edge of the cameo, and she takes it in to be repaired, and it takes a really long time, like a year or something, and she finally gets it back, and the woman says, I have to tell you, the repairing of these pieces is really tricky. You know, the people who made them built their own tools. They built their own tools to make the piece. So not only is the piece a work of their hand and their heart and their mind, so are the tools that made the piece. And I reach out to her right away and I say, speaking of our stories the other day, those makers made their own tools, as are we, my love, as are we. So in my sitting with these stories and trying to have a intellectual understanding of my life at this time and what we're doing here, as I explore the power of personal narrative, I realize our words are these tools. We're building our own tools by becoming more aware of our belief systems and the words that we use and the meaning that they carry. And if that meaning doesn't come from us, if it doesn't resonate with how we articulate ourselves, how we see ourselves and our story, then let's redefine the word. So I see an Instagram post from this woman I follow, who I adore. And it's one of those posts where she's just sharing what's going on, as I do here. And I really enjoy it. And I really enjoy reading it. She shares a book that she's been reading and what she had pulled out of it. She shares it, something that she responded to in a podcast she was listening to. So two things. I get this reflection of something that I'm doing here, and I enjoy witnessing that glimpse into her life that week. And it sort of gives me permission or helps me feel soothed about coming and showing up here with you. But then what she references is Glennon Doyle on their podcast recently, We Can Do Hard Things, where she redefines to quit or illuminates a definition of to quit for me, which is to set free. And I immediately think of how derogatory quitter is. And I immediately think of how I, and maybe you, and lots of people I know have used quitter as a negative response or motivator maybe to living our lives. And all of a sudden it was like, talk about those juicy nuggets that I love to illuminate and share. It's like this subtle moment in your day where all of a sudden I can think about quitting as allowing myself freedom, setting myself free, setting someone else free. And I'm just awestruck and grateful for her for sharing her thoughts and observations of the week, because it's transformational for me. We will certainly be telling stories of quitting here, being quit, being fired. That's such a trigger thing that happens that helps set people free too. And but at this particular moment, it's this reflection of these words are tools we can make our own. And I don't mean to give definitions that are out of denial. I mean to give definitions that feel true, that feel grounded and resonate with my life today. Like, if I better articulate my story, I am better seeing myself. Then I get to be more myself. I can better friend myself. I can better hear myself and my needs and my wants. And then I'm a better contribution to society, right? So with that, mic drop, boom, I encourage you to think about the beliefs that show up in those hiccup moments, or those bizarre moments of TV showing up that you didn't order, or a resistance or a stuck feeling when you go to buy something that you would normally buy for yourself with no problem. What's in there? Let's unpack it. Let's watch it unfold, and let's learn from it, shift it, redefine it, and let that be the fertilizer that lets us grow more into who we actually are. And that, to me, is super. So here's to living our super lives. I appreciate you for showing up with me, which helps me take my personal journey and make it into an adventure just through the sharing. Thank you so much. This is Cecelia Sterling, and I wish you a blessed week with an abundance of gifts moving around with the giving and receiving of this holiday season. Ciao for now.